the idea just of getting one candidate in, though, it seems to, some could argue it worked well for the National Party, and Elizabeth May has gotten her profile raised enormously through that strategy, and she's in the leaders' debate in the last election.
Well,
so
it
just seems like that would be a really. Don't you think that could be a possible strategy?
I'll answer the two ways. She wasn't actually in the leaders' debate. She managed to get into a couple of debates and then was shut out for the remainder of the debates. And if you look at and I feel really sorry for my colleague at the federal level. If you look at the frustration she's having in getting the Green Party perspective onto the legislative agenda by just having the one voice, by being there in opposition or actually forming government, we can actually, basically move forward as soon as we can with legislative reforms. And that's what we're trying to say. Our approach as a Green Party is a collaborative approach, right? Whether we're in opposition or in government, we want to reach out to the other side and work together to frame the changes that I think, and I believe our party believes, that Saskatchewan people want.
Is there one issue that really, like, you mentioned a lot of issues, but is there one issue that makes your party stand out especially?
Well, I think overall it's a framework issue, right? It's about sustainability, right? It's about sustainability in the education system, sustainability in Medicare, sustainability in our social programming. It's how do we move Saskatchewan into the forefront of change again, right? We were lagging behind, right? I mean, people are falling behind in education. Our Medicare system is crumbling. Our government, as we know, is going into two deficits. The Sask Party's promised two deficit budgets if they get reelected. And we think this is a brilliant time to talk about, looking at the budget and saying, well, can't we balance the budget? I mean, we went from $8 billion a year to $14 billion in spending, and the government's just saying, well, we have to borrow more money, and we're saying, well, why wouldn't we just look through, working with the people, a participatory democracy process, to find those cost savings where people, feel we can balance the budget.
Why 50% female candidates?
Pardon me?
Why 50% female candidates?
Well, we think it's very important, no matter what party, we need to change the legislature. I think women's voices have been underrepresented in Parliament and in government for a long time. I think female candidates bring a different perspective, a more collective process. Ideally, we've heard that a lot of people want less discord and argument and kind of viciousness in the parliaments, and I think that's where I think collective female voices can bring that. So we're really happy that we're running 31 female candidates.
So you're making cuts then, or
no, we're not talking about making.
In order to save that
we're not talking about making cuts. We're saying that the efficiency of government, by working with people on the ground through a participatory democracy process, we feel we can balance the budget. There's no need to continue borrowing more. We've seen where Alberta is borrowing $6 billion. It's a massive amount of money, and it's burdening future generations from moving forward. Why wouldn't we look at redesigning our programs to be more efficient?
What does that mean, though? Because you essentially have to find $427 million this fiscal year.
It's actually more. The provincial debt is at $13 billion, and the Sask Party added something like 1.7 billion.
Let's go with the $13 billion debt then.
Yeah.
Or even add the $700 million.
Well, this is the
how
brilliant.
Would you save that?
Well, this is the brilliant thing with the Green Party, and why we're running for government and not just running to we're in one or two seats. We have the opportunity here to redesign government and put it to the people, to say, where do we do the budgetary expenditures differently? And it's because I always think it's not just about adding more money into Medicare to make it better. It's about redesigning so the money that we're spending on healthcare actually works. We've had horror stories from people working in the healthcare field where even though the funding has increased by close to 70% and so on, it's not getting back to the patients. It's not helping them.
Let's just lay out the facts. So timeline even, Victor. So you get nominated. Your goal is to be government. That happens because you presented the alternative. Right. And a budget probably needs to be presented by May. Realistically, can all that you speak of be done, or in that 4-year mandate, are we probably saying midway through? Because you can't do all of what you're talking about in 8 weeks.
Well, I'd like to think we can. I mean, I guess I'd ask the Saskatchewan people, give us a chance. You've had a taste of the Sask Party government for 8 years. You know what the NDP represents. We had 16 years of that. In some cases, at the Craig Health Care debate, one person, even though they weren't allowed to basically present questions on the floor, was so angry with NDP, they got up and questioned the NDP, saying, you know what, you guys closed all our rural hospitals and put us in the situation we're in now. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, I've been born in Saskatchewan here. I've lived here all my life. And I've seen conservative governments, I've seen new democratic governments. I think it's time we try something different, something that really will bring about real change.
You said that you've been campaigning on this, guaranteed income since 1996.
Yes. 1999, yeah.
Okay, 1999. Is it not proof then that now a government is doing it and you guys were never voted in campaigning on that? Don't want?
Well, it's not that. It seems to take about a generation for people to come around to an idea, and I think the economic and environmental conditions are really pushing all governments of all stripes to start looking at this solution. The difference for us is we're not about to do a pilot trial, right? All these other governments are talking about, well, let's test this out, right? We're talking about real implementation. If we form government after April 4th, we're talking about implementing the solution, right? We believe the guaranteed livable income will eliminate poverty, and we can then move on to redesigning other parts of government.
Can you tell us about your plans? You talked about how
mental health strategy and how they would cover children, right? In terms of under Medicare. And we thought, well, if you're covering children, why wouldn't you just expand Medicare to cover everyone, right? Like our strategy is to include all non-insured services that aren't currently insured, optical, dental, alternative therapies under Medicare. And I believe if we're going to have a public health care system, we might as well cover everything off, including things like ambulance fees. We heard incessant complaints about ambulance fees. People can't afford it. People have to use it again and again. And then now, in the news stories, we have people saying, you know what, I've decided to have my 5th heart attack, and I'm not even calling an ambulance because I can't afford it anymore. And in a province this rich, either we're a very rich, booming province, or we don't have the money and we're going to have to basically close it all down. And I just don't believe that. I think we can rearrange spending and make sure that the priorities of the people are heard first and foremost.
What kind of advertising are you doing, and how much are you spending?
Yeah, we did, basically the campaign for us is door to door. We feel that, today is a great day. It sounds like you guys are all here, and so we're going to get a good hearing from you guys in the media. But really, we want to talk to citizens, and the best approach is going door to door, handing out leaflets. We've got the lawn sign campaign, some bus advertising. Some campaigns might go bigger, but really it's a grassroots approach that we have. Our party is organized to be most efficient at that level.
What would you say to an oil patch worker in the southeast right now who might have lost their job?
Yeah. Well, this is what I've been trying to say to Justin Trudeau as well as our Premier. This is the perfect time to introduce a guaranteed livable income. For those people, the 36,000 people and growing that are currently unemployed in Saskatchewan, they need some kind of income to keep them going. And by introducing a guaranteed livable income now, we can see how that affects the local economy. We think it'll be a beneficial boon. As well, I think it's an opportunity for talking to that oil worker and saying, look, our government isn't going to leave anybody behind. We're going to be doing basically things like free education, free training, and creating that local opportunity to basically go into a different sector, a long-term sector. I think renewables is the future. There's a great news story just came out yesterday about how India, in 5 years or less, solar power is going to basically be more dominant than coal because the cost is a lot cheaper. And so we're seeing, opportunity that Saskatchewan should be tapping into, not just holding on to things of the old economy, but start positioning ourselves for the new economy. That's where we want to be.
So while you're making that move, how do you pay for that basic income and universal health care that covers everything?
Well, and that's the beauty of our position. By using a participatory budget process, we work with citizens on the ground to see where things can be rearranged, where we can get most efficiencies. I work for a big company called Loblaws. They do quarterly surveys. They basically freely find the cost savings from the workers themselves. And that's what we're saying. As a government, we shouldn't be basically doing a top-down approach, but a bottom-up approach. And that's a huge difference.
But isn't that what elections are for?
Well, that's the difference. Our Green Party government doesn't believe that you should just have democracy every 4 years. You should have ongoing democracy, ongoing community consultations. With the technology we have nowadays, with the smartphones, we can basically survey everyone on a regular basis, even daily basis, right? So that you get a feel of where people want the government to be positioning themselves. I think Brad Walsh tried to do that. We looked at the liquor regulations consultations, and it was a pretty good decision. I think 60-some% and a clear majority said, look, with the new franchises, that's fine. Do new liquor licenses to private vendors, but keep the old Crown Corporation intact. but if the government has decided, I think, to move toward full privatization, and so, you know, once again, happening after you hear the consultations, then you should actually go back and work to redesign that system as the people want, not just go against it.
So is that livable income something you're hearing when you have these door-to-door conversations?
Yeah, it's huge. In my riding alone, Regina Douglas Park, a lot of people that are, you know, foreign workers, seniors, students, people that can barely afford, you know, to make their rent. When we talk about a guaranteed livable income so that nobody falls below, you know, the poverty line, they're really excited about that. So yeah, we think it's a win-win issue.
I just want to make sure I'm characterizing what you're suggesting and campaigning on this next 27 days in the correct way. To be form government, to have the approach from the bottom up, to offer everybody a living wage.
No, let me correct that. Living wage is different from guaranteed livable income. I know the words sound similar. Living wage may be what the NDP is promising, basically a higher minimum wage. What we're saying is a guaranteed livable income. So the government would provide a threshold, and we may be working with the national government, you know, but the plans we have at this point is basically to give people that are in need, basically fall below the poverty line, $500 extra a month. That's the beginning of our program. We've costed it out. It's affordable, well under $1 billion worth of spending, and we think that'll basically help the localized economy. But in addition to that, if we were to form government, we would work with the national government to basically work through the income tax system, so that when you file your taxes, if you fall below the threshold that we set, then you automatically get topped up. So it's
how much should everyone be getting? How much should everyone be getting as a minimum income?
Yeah, like the moving target, if you're using the statistics, move. But we want to look at the negotiations. I guess where we're going is livable. How you know, livable is
ballpark.
Obviously. Yeah, ballpark. You know, at least above say 20,000, right? I mean, really livable in different parts of the country is going to be defined differently. So I think those negotiations are ongoing in terms of what that'll look like.
But all of that being done and able to balance the books in the first budget, which might be a month to 8 weeks after the vote, all of that's realistic.
Well, we want to put it to the citizens, right? If the citizens come back in those participatory democracy forums and say, you know what, it's fine if we've gone through the budget, we've rearranged spending, and we still need, say, 10 million or 20 million extra dollars. If they're okay with us borrowing, then we'll move forward on that. This is a brilliant opportunity to elect a government that basically works with citizens to design the programming they want. If they feel that,
I understand. It just meant you're going to have to present a budget, and that budget's got to have come before. That's all I'm asking you. Over the 4-year mandate, I'm sure voters would think that's reasonable. Is it really reasonable to suggest you can do all of this and go to the people and present what will be a balanced budget?
Well, we're not saying that we're going to present the balanced budget. We're saying the citizens, we're working with us, are going to basically determine the priority needs, right, in the budgeting process. And I would answer that question, as I always do, that whenever governments say they don't have money, that's a total lie. Governments can find money wherever they need money. The fact that the Premier found $1.5 billion to put into carbon sequestration that isn't working, that's $1.5 billion. That could have been spent on healthcare. That could have spent on teachers and lowering the size of classrooms. That could have spent in northern development that basically possibly would have, stopped tragedies like in La Loche. It's all about priorities, and I think the Sask Party is going in the wrong direction with their priorities, and that's why we're talking about forming government and not just electing one person.
Participatory democracy is like continual smartphone surveys and
it's designing a process. Whether it's there's probably going to be. I would like if I had an opportunity, I'd like a daily process as well. Ongoing quarterly kind of meetings. We haven't come up with the framework, but we want to basically involve people in the design, right? So. Of course, there's always these time considerations, as Sarah mentioned, with a budget, how much time do you allow before you basically present a budget, right? So until we form government and see where that goes, how much time we want to allocate to different areas, that's to come in terms of the details. But overall, we feel that's the better way moving forward. There'll be less complaints after the fact because everyone had a good hearing. I'm
trying to put myself in voters' shoes when they're going to hear this. I'm a busy working mum of 2. My husband has a full-time job and runs a business. I'm going to be like many other people, and for those who may be living under the poverty line, maybe working 3 jobs to try and pay that rent. How do you think they're going to feel every time there's an email or a leaflet through the door, or how do you want us to fix this?
Yeah, that's
actually
an easy. Yeah, that's an easy question.
If you're inundating me with emails and I got to answer how you need to balance the books.
See, once again, you're prejudging the thing. As I mentioned before, right? We haven't designed that input process yet, and remember. It's not like, once again, it's not a top-down approach. We're not going to force our citizens to have input on budgetary measures that they have no interest in. If an artist, for instance, wants to have input on creative cultural funding, they will have it under our government. They won't have to basically write a letter. They'll have direct access, right, through electronic means and so on. But if the artist is busy doing their own craft and they have no interest in participating in the budgetary process or arts and culture funding, they don't have to.
How's that
different
now, then?
Right now,
we're can email an MLA or
you know what? The Craig healthcare debate showed clearly that the government was out of touch with the people. I mean, right after the debate happened, it was inundated with people from the community as well as nurses that work out there saying how they have been pleading with the government to hear their concerns, and it's falling on deaf ears. The local regional health authority was supposed to take care of that. That seems to be out of touch. We have CEOs and regional health authorities making more than the premier and basically ignoring directives from the government itself. That has to change. And under our participatory democracy process, that will change.
Does anyone here speak French?
Nope, I don't think so.
No.
Sorry, I'm
Pardon?
Ouais. Do you guys have any other questions?
Okay. Would you feel comfortable doing an interview in French?
I'll try.
Yeah?
Mais non, c'est clean.
Okay. All right, well, I'll